should have brought my beanie. Or my boots. Tim Pool is here to tell you that he definitely does not lick boots. He doesn't like boot licking. Guys, please stop saying that Tim Pool is a servile cuck that bends over for men that he thinks are better than him. Please don't say that. It would make him very upset. So this is Tim Pool crashing out because people are calling him a cuck because he is one. This is a guy who has billed himself as a libertarian, of course, but instead he is just a Russian-paid shill to prop up the oligarchy that's trying to take control and the fucking jackbooted thugs, the inbred losers that are out there like murdering citizens and ripping families apart.
These liberals who all of a sudden are libertarians and all of a sudden love 2A.
Liberals. I really think Tim and all the right wing misunderstand the distinction between liberals and leftists, because I don't think a liberal is like, yes, the Second Amendment. What they're pointing at is, of course, the hypocrisy of the right wing. What a leftist believes is definitely that you're violating their rights and that, guns and self-defense in general necessary against oppressors.
And the lolberts. I love the lolberts. You know why I love
lolberts?
Libertarians so much?
Oh, lolbertarians. Sorry, I'm not fucking terminal, I guess.
Because whenever a fight breaks out, they fold like cheap suits.
You fucking fold.
So I don't have to worry about them at all. These libertarians come out and they're like, look, I'm concerned about immigration, but I don't think the government should be allowed. And I'm like, bro, by all means, scream into the wind. Because if anything actually has to happen, you're going to stand there with our arms crossed while we do the jobs that need to be done.
While we do the jobs that need to be done? Who's we? Did Tim join ICE? Is Tim out there in the streets? If so, find where that's happening. Probably right around where he lives, I would assume. He's not going far. What is he talking about we for?
But what I love so much about this especially is that these people who are saying, I thought you were for the Second Amendment, Tim.
Yeah. Apparently this has triggered him quite a bit. He's adopting a voice. Guy who isn't really upset.
I was never in favor of the right to keep and bear arms to go and obstruct duly appointed law enforcement officials from a duly elected government because you disagreed with the policy position everybody else voted for.
I mean, that sounds like you're describing a cuck to me. Like when you say those words back to me and you're like, well, actually my position is that I'm a cuck. I hear that you're a cuck to the state. That's not what libertarianism is, man. That's not even close. So, I mean, you just don't call yourself that. You're a fascist. And worst of all, you're a bootlicker, a boot sucker. You lick and suck on boot heels. You like it. Keep them clean and shiny.
The idea that you are like, don't I have a right to go fight a cop with a gun? No.
Yeah, you do. Specifically when it's a Fed violating constitutional rights, you do. This is like baby's first libertarianism, like 101. Let me see if I can find Thomas Jefferson or somebody. Does he care? Does he care of any of them? Like, hey, you should be able to pick up guns and shoot the government when they try to take your shit. You should be able to pick up guns and try to defend yourself. Like, what does he think the Second Amendment says? It's of the people. And then the Fourth Amendment's like, hey, and also, fuck the military, fuck the government. They should not be allowed to do things to you that you don't want them to do. The Fifth, like, all the amendments are about fuck the government. Like, these, you don't have the power to do this thing. Which I understand is a piece of paper that doesn't do anything, right? But, like, what Tim would have me believe is that the Constitution is really, really important to him and these Republican buddies, his fascist friends. And so every time they violate it, what happens is you get called you're a hypocrite because you don't understand the thing that you're trying to say should happen. Instead, it sounds like you're like, well, the Second Amendment does not apply, in fact, when duly elected officials or whatever, duly appointed pigs. ICE isn't duly appointed. They're not even, like, they don't have the same level of jurisdiction as a cop, for instance, nor do they have the oversight, because a cop wouldn't be able to threaten people the way ICE officers do, or kill them for that matter. But I mean, like, this guy supports the government being able to just harm you, the government being able to suppress your speech. That's the opposite. Like, literally listen to this. Here we go. Here's a nice First Amendment violation, literally by the government. Watch. Here's a nice officer with his full face out. What's his name, by the way?
I will tell you this, brother.
What?
You know, I will tell you this. You raise your voice, I raise your voice.
If I raise my voice,
If
you'll
you
erase my...
Exactly, yeah.
It's interesting. They got this guy who is clearly not born in America or has adopted his accent to join the fucking jackboots to violate the neighbor's constitutional rights that he doesn't even fucking seem to know. So this is a real threat. If you use your voice, I will erase your voice.
Yeah.
Are you serious? You said if I
ICE agents with accents are wild. Oh, yeah. Happens a lot.
raise my voice, you'll erase my voice?
Yes.
Confirms it multiple times. So anyway, this is what he is in favor of. So he doesn't like the First Amendment. He doesn't like the Second Amendment. He certainly doesn't like the Fourth Amendment. Does he even know the Third?
You don't. And the funny thing is, I love this. I love this, guys. I'm going to let you in on a big secret. Did you know the Second Amendment was not about fighting tyranny? I'm sick of these people who have this like...
The Second Amendment? A well-regulated militia. I know that commas are very important. I have this here. We'll just pull it up. I have my annotated, personally used Declaration of Independence in the Constitution of the United States right here. I've had this since college, bro. The Second Amendment reads, a well-regulated militia, being necessary to the security of a free state. What do you think being necessary to secure a free state means? The right of the people to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed. The Third Amendment, no soldier shall in the time of peace be quartered in any house without the consent of the owner, nor in time of war, but in a manner to be prescribed by law. So the immediate next thing is talking about when the government tries to violate your rights, you can't. Before we even get there, you have the right to repel yourself or repel oncomers with self-defense, including the government. Amendment 1, of course, talks about your establishment clause to have freedom of religion, speech, and assembly against the government. This is all about against the government. I mean, he just can't read, and he's obviously a Russian shill trying to disinform Americans on their actual rights so that they'll comply with law enforcement who have no real jurisdiction over their bodies. And it's just coercive, kind of like freedom rape. Not really a joke.
Seventh grade American traditionalist view of the Second Amendment, where they're like, the founding fathers were concerned the government would take over, but tyrannical government would oppress them, so they needed to be armed at all times. There was a factor in the Second Amendment of which was the regulars from the crown were trying to take our guns from us, for which we used to protect ourselves, and we said no. And if you allow us to take your weapons, you will be oppressed. But the principal reason for the Second Amendment...
You will be oppressed by who? By who? The government. You're making the point we're making for us? Oppressed by who? Yeah, the government, man. He's such a fucking idiot. He can't even make the argument he's trying to make. He's too stupid.
Was not just because they were like, guys, what if we'd overthrow our new government? In fact, a bunch of the founding fathers were like, we don't want to give the people guns. They'll overthrow us. We just want a new government.
That's not what they wrote down in law that they decided on together after the Constitutional Congresses. Yes, definitely. The argument was like, hey, what if they try to overthrow us? And of course, that was dissuaded by like, well, we want them to have the ability to do that so that a different government can't do that to us. And also, we can just protect ourselves with like personal security and, federal security, which is what they do now to this day. People who sign themselves to protecting the the Constitution and the elected officials who are there to represent it. I mean, but really it's just like rich celebrities and sons of wealthy men that were appointed to an aristocracy to oversee the resources that each of these fabricated states would make.
The principal issue is the general defense of a free state, which can be interpreted to mean fighting tyrannical government, but typically was about foreign invaders and not having strong standing armies.
Nope, that's just not close to a reading on the Constitution whatsoever. It's pretty explicit in its fuck the government stance. The Fourth Amendment, which is violated by ICE all the time, reads, the right of the people to be, you have the right of the people to be secure in their persons, houses, papers, and effects against unreasonable searches and seizures shall not be violated, and no warrant shall issue, but upon probable cause, supported by oath or affirmation, and particularly describing the place to be searched and the persons or things to be seized. Which means you have to have a warrant, you have to have people that have sworn an oath. You have to have people that have sworn an oath to presumably upholding what is factually true to the letter of the law rather than how they feel it ought to go. Of course, police are corrupt because this is a piece of paper that we all have to collectively enforce, right? Amendment 5 continues on that, where you don't have to incriminate yourself to the government. By the way, free speech and the right to defend yourself from bodily harm come before all of these in the context of you need protection from the government. I'm a leftist, right? I'm not like a big fan of the United States, and I think that this was a document built by slavers to enrich themselves, and that's true. However, it also had a little bit of prescience to understand that the system that they had just come from was oppressing them, and to some extent, the other people, that they cared less about that. So, like, just because they were right on some issues doesn't mean we have to throw out the rest of it, right? So, I mean, the thing that Americans are taught as children are these are your rights, and this is what happens. And the right wing thinks that somehow they can just, like, brainwash their way the fuck out of this.
That's why the original article, of which I think it would have been Article 4 or 5, actually, before they got rid of the first two and then reduced everything down, actually had a provision about conscription not being necessary. Because the actual intent was, in a time of war, we need people to be able to defend their communities. They got to have guns. Only one component of that is in the event of tyrannical government.
So that's not what it says in the fucking Bill of Rights whatsoever. It doesn't qualify that at all.
However, Thomas Jefferson, who famously wrote the letter saying that, what is it, every 200 years, the tree of liberty must be watered with the blood of patriots and tyrants, later went to say, yeah, I shouldn't have said that. And
because he was a slaving tyrant, shouldn't have said that. Well, when you're right, I guess, right?
Many of the founding fathers actually held the opinion that the crown was the crown wasn't necessarily the problem, Parliament was, and the king would not come to their aid.
Dog, you're such a fucking cuck. They hated the king. Fuck off. They wrote explicitly, fuck the king. Like, eat shit. Stop trying to say, no. By the way, actually, they were for monarchies. No, they fucking weren't. They were for aristocracy. It's a very Enlightenment age experience. It was a liberalism thing. It comes out of the French Revolution a little bit. So stupid.
It wasn't this cut and dry thing like the king is bad. No, it was we're not being represented in government. As it stands right now, Ulysses Grant, what he wrote was, you have redress of grievances. You have elections. You are not facing taxation without representation. So while you can try to rebel, you will be conquered by your betters. So the argument right now is this. I'll put it simply. First,
your betters. You're a cuck. I can't keep. I know I'm using the same word. We need a new word, actually. A gigacuck. It's just so much worse. Please oppress me and my neighbor's daddy. Because Tim doesn't think it's going to affect him. He's on his compound and he has money. So, like, hopefully he never has to deal with it. But I mean, like, okay. If all the government has to do is say you're a domestic terrorist, Tim, do you think that you worry about a left-wing government, a truly left-wing government ever taking hold?
First of all, when these people come out and go, Tim's a bootlicker for defending us, I'm like, no, you misunderstand. It's my boots. It's mine. I voted for them. I'm wearing the boot. I'm stomping on the ground.
You're crashing out, Tim. Big cope. I'm not a bootlicker. I'm not mad. I'm stomping on the ground. I'm throwing a tantrum. I'm pooping my pants. He's scared. Absolutely. Okay. So Tim Pool takes big ownership for this. I say let him. I think Tim should actively join ICE. I think Tim should get on the streets of Minneapolis immediately, or Detroit, or Philly, or fucking New York, or wherever they're going to fucking target next. Bratty little bottom. And then go ahead and have his fucking energy out in public.
I ain't licking anybody. I'm clapping for these people that
I'm not licking anybody, guys. Stop saying I'm licking boots. I'm fucking mad that you're saying I'm licking boots. When they're in my mouth, it's not a lick. It's like a whole throat situation. He wants to be known as a boot throater, a gagger, not a licker. That's just not. We need to respect the work he's putting into this, dude. He has unhinged his jaw like a fucking anaconda, and he's gone balls deep on Greg Bavino's thin penis and balls.
I said, please.
And his boot.
Please go out and enforce the law. And anybody else,
please go out and enforce the law. So the law states that ICE can't do the things they're doing, and they're violating our constitutional rights. So I agree. Let's get more Black Panthers with automatic rifles in the streets. Let's get more fucking goddamn patriots with their handguns on their belts. Oh, wait, I'm sorry. Only Kyle Rittenhouse can do that. If a VA nurse does that, he gets shot dead by the gangs that Donald Trump has hired at Stephen Miller's behest. Please, forgive me. I forgot that only they can murder people with impunity and violate all the constitutional rights that have ever been put in place. Yeah, follow the fucking law. You guys don't respect the law. This is why people are upset. They're like, well, we had these acceptable rules, and though there were flaws, now you're violating the ones we do agree with. And it's like, well, I mean, I don't know what you expected people to do other than call for your fucking blood. Call you a fucking loser.
Who's cheering for it, who voted for it too, we're all wearing the boots. You're the one crying.
You're wearing the boots? I'm not licking the boots. I'm wearing the boots, and other guys are licking my boots because we're cheering, which is the boot licking. So I'm licking other guys' boots. They're licking my boots. It's actually more of a boot 69 if you think about it. So take that, libtard. Fucking get on, dude. I'm getting my boots sucked too. It's not gay or whatever. Shut up.
You're the one saying you're coming in and enforcing laws we didn't vote for. Well, I got bad news for you. The American people voted for the Republican Party in the House, the Senate, the presidency, and they got the Supreme Court.
Okay. So when they vote for socialists, are you going to be like, well, everybody, look here. They voted for socialists in the Senate, the presidency, and the House, and the Supreme Court, and look what you got now. I comply immediately. I'm complying. Huh? Are you kidding me? If people started getting health care, you'd be out there trying to shoot them yourself. No health care. Only death. Russia tells me to go do that.
That means it's the will of the people and democracy that we enforce our immigration law.
Nah, it's not. It's pretty clear that most people sat out of this shit because they were uninspired, and you got a minority of people. Not even 30%. Trump is negative 22. If Congress goes left 22, it'll be 67-33 and 435. Holy shit. This election cycle, though, in just the midterms, or do you mean the next two elections, midterms and primary or regular?
I'm not going to sit here and say that children should get wrapped up and abused or anything stupid like that.
Yes, you are. What are you talking about? Do we have to bring up the ICE officers that are raping mothers in exchange for time with their kids in the ICE cages? Or should we bring up the kids that are dying in ICE, we'll call it detention, because they're not getting their medical supplies? Why are we talking about the fucking American citizens who are in there, who are primary caregivers to sick kids and stuff, who are having their kids die outside and are being denied hospital visits and funeral visits? This is all true, by the way. You can look those up right now. Those are all real. That's just 3 examples. Not including Renee Good and Alex Preddy, who were both fucking slaughtered in the streets by the feds without any due process whatsoever. Any person who calls themselves some kind of like American patriot should be fucking mad. That's disgusting in every way possible. You're a fucking cuck, man. It sucks. It sucks to be surrounded by so many of these bootlicking freaks.
Your stories are fake.
Keith Porter Jr., yeah, out in L.A.
And they're not happening. Mistakes are made. Those are bad. We'll figure that out. But the margin of error is always going to exist, and we are going to do what our laws say. And these laws were not...
Your laws say that you can't violate the fucking Constitution. And they say that people that do violate the Constitution deserve to be penalized and jailed. Maybe even shot with a gun, depending on the severity of it. So said the founding fathers. I mean, pick a fucking side. He's not an American. This guy's a Russian. This guy is a fucking Russian shill. He literally gets paid by them. That's it. That's what it is.
not written by me,
is a
nor are they
profit
written
ship.
by the current Congress. Our immigration laws were written 30 plus years ago, 40, 50 years ago. I only ask as a voter, and I know most of you watching, that we have those laws upheld.
The laws are not being upheld by ICE. They are going to people's legal proceedings and stopping them after they have gained citizenship and taking them and deporting them anyway against the law. They are violating constitutional rights. I mean, it's just not reasonable for you to say anything other than ICE should be abolished and everyone involved should be prosecuted. Unless, of course, Tim, you're part of it. Is Tim Pool in the ICE rolls? No, he would have been doxxed. That would have been big news. So why is he taking credit for this? He's just an impotent fucking loser. Our boots. Dog, just because you clean up at the orgy doesn't mean that you were involved.
So when I see DHS, ICE, and they go out and they're armed and they're putting down these protesters, and then people look at me.
They don't get to put down protesters. They don't get to violate anyone's First Amendment. DHS is not local law enforcement. If local law enforcement wants to do anything with the protesters, they can try. They don't. DHS doesn't get to enforce that whatsoever. You are bending over and letting the government fuck you, dude.
And say you're licking their boot. I'll bet you misunderstand. I hired the boot.
You misunderstand. It's a sex work operation here, and I actually have my dommy daddy with his boots on purpose, so I am not owned. Okay, but so calling you a bootlicker is still accurate, you fucking loser. I'm not licking the boot, okay? It's rubbing itself on my tongue and fucking throat.
I'm paying.
He's actually face fucking me with the boot. Okay, I'm not licking it. I'm being face fucked with the boot, gagging and drooling everywhere. Tim Pool's beanie ripped off in the passion. His eyeliner running.
Their bills and clapping for them. So cry more about it. But your lies and manipulations ain't playing with me at all. Because
your lies ain't playing with me at all. You can't lie about me being a fucking boot gagger. No one has to.
I gotta tell you, I honestly don't even care about this argument coming from.
I don't actually care. 5-minute long rant about how I'm not a bootlicker. I don't care though.
From communists that they should have a right to keep and bear arms. You want to come to me and say, but what about your principles, Tim? Don't people have a right to keep and bear arms? I'll say, generally speaking, yes. But when a communist comes to me and says, I shouldn't be allowed to have a gun, I'll return the favor and say, neither should you.
What communist has said Tim Pool can't have a gun? I bet they'd be thrilled if you got a bunch of guns all at the same time, you know? No communist has ever told Tim he can't have a gun. They've probably been happy to give him the bullets as well. What's he worried about? What do you mean? That guy is maybe the dumbest motherfucker. Same guy, dude. Loves Kyle Rittenhouse. That guy, gun. What's the difference? It seems that you can get guns on ideological grounds. Reminds me of Nazis for some reason, but that would be uncouth to say. Not everything can be Nazis, but yet he wants to take guns away from his political opponents.